Hello and welcome back to Factorio C Block. In our last episode, we finished up, for now, what we have for Petrochem. We have some more stuff to do, but we're at an impasse a little bit, because we don't have the things we need to make the green catalyst, the green metal catalyst, the aluminium even, and the silver. So we need to find a way to get those. And the way to get those is actually pretty interesting and complex, but also interesting. And that is here in... Gee, how do we get those? That is here in the ore refining processes, and it specifically is the chunks of ore. You have to kind of look through them to find it. I don't know of another way to see it easily. Well, you do actually. FNEI will tell us. But aluminium is there, and javelite chunk sorting, and silver is here under stereotype. Protinium is aluminium again. Rubyite has aluminium as well, and then bobmonium has silver. So, as you can guess, everything pretty much but the sapphirite. We can turn them into chunks. It is takes a little bit of work, and then we can sort those into those individual ores. And this is how we make them into chunks. We take 2 crushed of that ore and some purified water. We get 2 chunks out, plus some geodes, or a chance of geodes, as well as some wastewater, some acidic wastewater of certain kinds. The sapphirite will take output the blue geodes and the sulfuric wastewater. The javelite will output the purple geodes and the fluoric wastewater. The stereotype will output yellow geodes and sulfuric wastewater. The protinium will output light green geodes and chloric wastewater. The rubyite will output cyan geodes and nitric wastewater, and finally the bobmonium will output red geodes and sulfuric wastewater again. So all 4 of the different acidic wastewaters, all 6 of the different geodes that we already know about how to process, because we have 2 of these things down here collecting geodes via a different method. And that's not really very nice there. And sorting through them to find the right colors, and then processing those colors into generic chunks here to make into the crystal slurry that we make into something else. The mineral sludge, the thing I can never remember the name of. And so we can do the same. We can get the same kind of geodes from this next process as well. So you might be wondering, how am I going to wedge this in here? Well, that's a really good question. We're going to have to rebuild this whole thing. Now, technically, we don't have to rebuild the whole thing. We could rebuild parts of it in order to make it fit and make it work and make it fine. But I'm going to rebuild the whole thing. Part of that is because, well, we have down here a... this arranged in a specific way, we have this arranged in a specific way, we have this part arranged in a specific way. There's three kind of phases so far here, and then up here, this is all here. And if we change the way this works a bit, then we can make it look a little bit nicer in the process, I think, and we can see how that's going to go. So let's I have made a froth flotation cell though, which is the thing you need, and actually we can take a look at this. Hydro refining, there we are. And what that gives us is, of course, these 6 chunks. And I don't remember why we unlocked this. Why did we unlock this? Because we needed it to get to chemistry, to get to plastic, and other things over there under steam cracking, but we did it long earlier than that. Maybe we did it for the geode processing part, in order to get the mineral sludge out of the geodes? That must have been what we did originally. I don't remember why we specifically did this, but that obviously is it. So anyways, yeah, we have this now. And then, so we have the chunks. Then we can sort the chunks into those different ores. So that's the froth flotation cell, right here. And that has those 6 recipes on that we just looked at. And they, of course, will input a purified water and output some sort of acid. And then we also will need one of these that I didn't make. Oops, I meant to make one of these too. I have one of the level 1s, but the level 1s cannot be used for the chunk sorting. You have to put those in a level 2 machine, as you can see here, starting at ore sorting facility 2, whereas these ones start at ore sorting facility 1. So yeah, I meant to have one of these made, and then I forgot about it. Let's see. And then this will go in... the Wally out of the way here. Those will go into one of these, sorting those chunks, similar to what we're doing now. But they're going to output the slag, of course, which we are trying to avoid the slag in some of these builds. But we're going to end up with is all 6 of these, plus all 6 of those, plus I think one more. I think I have 13 in my plan for some reason. But maybe not. Maybe it's still only 12. We're still going to have the mixed cupric and ferric being processed, because that still gives us this really good iron recipe or iron combination, and this really good bit of copper and tin here that was really good for making bronze. So we're going to keep those. We're going to keep the Bob and Ruby here because they give us a nice blend of let's see, silicon, lead, and nickel. And we're also going to keep the dedicated copper, almost dedicated copper. No, this is dedicated copper, isn't it? Yeah, the dedicated copper here. We're going to keep that one. We're going to keep the dedicated iron one here as well to make iron for steel. But the rest, we're going to weave in those other 6 into this process and take a look at how that works, as well as, of course, as I mentioned, rebuilding the whole thing to be, well, up here. I do need to put a radar on when we do this, but up in here, you can kind of see this bit here is going to fit in over here, and then this is going to be up here, but it's going to be much, much, much bigger. And so I have a plan for that, and I guess I should have done that here. This plan looks like this. I made the land a little bit bigger than I needed to, but this plan looks like this, and the plan calls for taking all 6 of these input lines, making the 6 ores, making the 6 ores, and separating them out, of course. See if you can kind of see a little bit of this. And then it takes those and crushes them still, because we still need to have them crushed. And then we still combine the cupric and ferric mixtures there in their crushers again. But then we inject the froth flotation cells into the mix. So we have 6 of those. They're almost like every other... actually, they might be every other... every other sorting facility, and then we still do the sorting of the 6 that we have plus the 6 new ones, so there is only 12. And then and I also have those all upgraded to level 2 in this plan. I didn't upgrade the crushers. I don't know if I actually need to or not. I can double check the math on that, but I don't think I did. And then the real atrocity begins. And as I promised a couple of folks in various places, there was going to be some atrocities coming. The atrocity is, how do I take those various ores from, especially the chunk sorting, since it outputs 4 different ores, I think, in every case, or thereabouts. It might be 3, it might be 5, maybe in some cases, but I think it's 4 in most every case. Plus all the ores that we are sorting out from the other ones that we're currently doing. And how do we get those sorted in such a way to get them to still make those basic half a dozen or so different metals. We have copper, tin, lead, steel, iron, and then, depending if you count manganese separate or not from iron, but those basic metals there. And then, of course, over here on the side, we're also dealing with... making glass out of silicon, and then those boxes above that furnace there, a little bit above the furnace there, are for taking in the either tin or nickel. I can't remember which one. Tin, I'm sorry. Zinc or nickel. And then we have zinc somewhere else, I thought. Maybe I screwed it up and I didn't put it in here someplace. Maybe I did. There's a couple of changes that I want to make to this as we're putting it in, because this is a test that I did, and I didn't like 1 or 2 of the features of the test. So we're going to add in a couple of more things here. I think I'm going to move a couple things around a little bit, but this is pretty much what we're going to do. And then the top here stays basically the same otherwise, except that I'm going to add some stuff into it. And I'm going to move it up a little bit from here so that I can put in those pipes without making them quite so squiggly, I think. But pretty much this is what it's going to look like. And then out the side here comes 2 belts down the side, and those will hopefully not be squiggled right there. That was, again, my test map. But the top one is iron and copper ores on either side of the belt, and the lower one is aluminium and silver ores on either side of the belt. And those will go down to these catalyst processes like this one, so we don't have to carry a box down here. For this one, we don't have to. Then we can also have the green metal catalyst as well. We had the red metal catalyst somewhere else. I think it was in nitrogen. Yeah, it's here. So we'll be able to provide those ores for those catalyst processes as part of this upgrade as well. And then after that, we're going to actually attack this area and rebuild that as well. But that's going to be a little bit into the future. Probably going to be at least next week before we do that part of it. We'll see how it goes. We probably won't be until next week. But I don't know if I'm going to actually even bother building this component here down in the new area, or if I'm just going to let it wait. But I think we will rebuild it, and then we'll take it from there. But so what we're going to do is I'm going to tear this all up. This whole build all goes away. I'm going to put all this loose crap in boxes because it's going to be an atrocity. And then next time I'll make sure I have all the machines made that I'm going to need for the blueprint. Next time we'll stamp the blueprint down and hook it up again to the system, and we'll see how it goes. I may not hook them up here, though, to the bus. This is another atrocity that I want to get rid of. I have a plan for it as part of this, but it's going to be a little bit of work to do, and so I probably will do that off camera. But again, I may not hook this back up to the bus right away. I might just wait until after we redo this upper part, this smelting part as well. So we'll see how that goes. But for now, we're going to leave this here as just a kind of explanation, direction type of thing, and leave it to me to tear down, and then we'll come back in the next episode and put it all back together again, hopefully. Before we go, though, I do want to mention that Derpumu, after the last episodes and my discussion about some of the things in the pacifist mod that I'm using, that he created, he's found a way to take out walls. And the way he did it was to just remove the walls as the ingredient in the recipe they were the ingredient in, which isn't, as he fully admits, the best way to do it. But for 1.1, that's the way that it is, because it was a kind of a combination of how do I do it simply versus how do I do it good enough and then be ready to do it better later. So for 2.0, and the version he's working on for 2.0, it will actually substitute in a intermediary item that's not a buildable. So in the case of walls, you might just want to use bricks, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But in the case of other things where you need this ingredient that is a military-oriented ingredient that is a buildable ingredient, maybe you just substitute in an equivalent non-buildable. That way it still costs the same to build the structure, or to build to produce the new building, but it doesn't use any military-oriented stuff. So while that's not done yet, obviously, and it's still kind of speculative in the planning phases, he did remove that reference as well as the reference to lasers, because we were seeing the lasers last time, and that was because they were being used in the companion bots, and they're no longer used in the companion drones. But that's where, an alternative item might be useful for the companion, so that you can still make the laser defense for them, although they don't really need it. But where you could still make, say, a laser defense, but maybe the laser defense was used for something else, then maybe you had a substitute item that went in instead of lasers to make the thing. So that's kind of an open item or open component as well. So, but we're going to leave this here for now, and in the next episode we will have this ready to be rebuilt. So thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.